People in stock photos. What's the weirdest way you've seen your photos being used? I'm in an ad campaign in my home state in Australia for the government. I'm the face of "Don't buy alcohol for underage people." It's just me looking like a dad who's thinking of buying a drink. Obviously for a teenager somewhere. Ironically, I don't actually have my own kids. I get emails from people I haven't heard from in years saying, "I saw you on the wall of the bottle shop," which is kinda funny. I had my photo taken in high school studying with my friend at the time. Almost 5 years later, my brother said I was in the county brochure for library services. The picture was most likely chosen cause of the diversity. Asian girl and a black girl. I ended up finding myself on one of those "now hiring" posts on Facebook for a company I was trying to get hired at. My friend was in a stock photo where he held up a baby picture, and it got used for an anti-circumcision ad campaign. Was pretty shocked when I saw his face on the side of a bus. In college, a photography student took some pictures of me playing classical guitar. I ended up in a Viagra ad. I was 19. I didn't even know I was in a stock photo until my grandma bought a picture frame at Sears with my T-ball team picture in it. My husband and I did stock photos when I was pregnant with our first. I ended up seeing myself later on the side of a bus as well as in a pamphlet for young moms. Flattering. At my doctor's office. The more interesting part, though, is that my husband took part in another family shoot. Various poses, cooking in the kitchen, etc. Years later, I was looking up a colleague on Facebook and her cover photo was her and my husband chopping vegetables in a stock photo. This takes place many years ago when foreigners were a rare sight in Japan. I'm a big, friendly-looking white guy, and I was asked to do some photos of a couple on a date, so I go around to some scenic locals with a beautiful Japanese woman, the photographer, and his assistants. Fun day. Took tons of romantic photos. And that was the end of it. Until a month or two later when my date and I showed up on posters all over the subway as part of an AIDS awareness campaign. Because you can catch that from foreigners. You know. Needless to say, my friends and co-workers thought it was hilarious. And amazingly, it didn't have any noticeable impact on my dating life. Looking back, my only regret is that I didn't steal one of the posters. I'm in the header of my university's grad school application. Whenever someone posts a screenshot of their acceptance email, Facebook facial recognition asks if I want to tag myself. My family did a stock photo shoot when our kids were young, like 1 and 3. A picture they took on our porch ended up in the opening credits for The Americans. I'm on the opposite end. I'm a graphic designer, so I spend a lot of time on stock photo sites and I have so many questions. Some of the photos I've seen, there's no possible context that would make sense for them to be used anywhere. I got used as a person with intellectual disabilities. I also did not know my photo was going to be used for anything. My whole family modeled back in the 80s. Somehow my dad ended up in a brochure for some born-again church that said he was a sinner and adulterer until he found Jesus. I googled my husband's name and a picture of him has been mistaken and mislabeled as Ann Coulter's husband. I have some friends that found one of their wedding pictures from Facebook somehow printed on a pillow in a market in a Middle Eastern country. Like, they just randomly happened upon their wedding photo in a random street market. They are from the US. My cousin took a photo of me wrestling my sister at a family reunion a few years back, and it somehow wound up on an online forum about domestic abuse. I had a few of my friends messaging me who were obviously very confused. Lol. I let a photographer friend take a stock photo of me. I looked sad in it, and it ended up on some website about victims of abuse. Not me, but my younger brother had his picture taken when he was about 9 or 10 for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program this year. My brother was a really cute red-headed kid with freckles, and they asked my mom if they could use his photo for their promotional materials. A few months later, we get a brochure in the mail with my brother's face on it talking about the Big Brothers program this year. It was really funny because they had changed his name to Timmy, and in little kid handwriting written things like, "I really need a big brother," and "Have you found me a big brother yet?" And then ended it with, "Love, Timmy." My siblings and I laughed a lot over it and called my brother Timmy for weeks. The university took a bunch of professional photos of me and some friends for their billboards and campaigns. I was pretty surprised to open a handbook and find out I was the face of their fine arts program this year, especially pottery. I was a neuroscience major. My nan was on an NHS quit smoking advert a few years back. She was a smoker for 40+ years. She died of smoking-related issues 6 months ago. I was on a brochure to promote my company once. It was the generic, look to your left and smile at the camera while you work type of shot. In the military, some cameraman tagged along on a mission. Like 4 years later, I saw footage of me in a gun turret on the news. I guess news broadcasters oftentimes just play generic combat footage and photos that look Middle Eastern-y enough and rightly assume nobody will notice that the shots were taken months or years before the actual incident they are talking about. One of my daughters has a few stock photos out there. It's always odd seeing her face unexpectedly. It doesn't happen super regularly, but it makes me double take when it happens. My ex used to work with a local photographer who is apparently pretty well known. He took a photo of me and my family, and now it's a permanent piece at the New Mexico Museum of Art in Santa Fe. So strange. I wonder how many people's houses I'm in. I remember a guy made a post about this because he was on a meme. Then he showed us all the photos he was in because it was a royalty-free stock photo. If I find the thread, I'll link it. When I was a kid, my mom took me for a photo shoot. Then a month later, I was on a pamphlet that said millions of children don't have homes. Adopt one today. Writing for a friend. He does voice-over work, not stock photography. His cousin was in a Home Depot and heard his voice. He was very confused looking for my friend in a set of aisles. He could hear the voice, but could not find his cousin. Calling out his name, the voice would come and then stop before he found him. Monsieur eventually realized that the voice was coming out of a kiosk. When I got married, we signed the line that allowed the photographer to sell the photos for commercial purposes. Not thinking much of it. Unexpectedly unhealthy marriage lasted a long 3 months. Story for another post. And about 4 months after the split, a pic of us showed up on the front page of a prominent local magazine. This led to several people at work leaving, bringing it to my attention. Slightly embarrassing and mortifying at the time, but still found the humor in it.
Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to support the channel.